Hello, friends. Welcome back. This is part two. I have Tara Chantel here, and we were talking during the break, and she like left out a lot of things that she was like
You didn't
confused
ask
about.
now. You didn't ask. I
So,
stay on topic.
so at one point, we were talking about growing in, your spiritual leadership, and that growing into a following and kind of like its own kind of group kind of thing. And I was asking you, what did you think about that?
I'm like, I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever God is calling me for. I am so embracing the unknown. Like, I realize that we are here to be the vessel. We here to be of service. So if I get a call today, like, hey Tara, can you help me film this project? Okay, that's what God called me to do today. Then tomorrow, oh Tara, I need you to speak at an event. That's what God called me to do today. Tara, I need you to help me clean up this set. That's what I get my hands dirty. I do whatever God calls me. You know, you can call me, and I know that's what God called me to do for today.
Yeah, I mean, so I've had conversations in the past where like I've said things like, I don't want to be the leader because when you're the leader, you get to take on all of these things. People look to you, they look at your life, and like I'm just like everyone else, but I feel like I can do a little bit to help get the movement going. I can say, hey guys, let's meet up next Friday at such and such park. And now, if 250 people show up, they can all talk to each other. We can have meals, some drinks, build community. Like, I want to be on that level, not
Yes.
because I'm famous or, oh, Alexi's going to speak, but just because we know when Alexi calls community, these kinds of people show up and this is where it goes. And like I think we can move in that direction, just good vibes, talking about business, talking about how we live, and making institutions that help our life get better. I think that's what I'm called to do.
Building that network, because network is how you get into rooms that money cannot buy. It's really all about relationships, because this person got your blessing right here. And if all you gotta do is open your mouth and see what you can do to help them. Because all we came here to do is just help each other get to whatever goal we want to achieve. If you help, Zig Ziglar said this, if you help enough people get to where they want to go, you're gonna get to where you're going. It's just that's how I operate.
I like that, for sure, for sure. I think for me, I always felt a really big calling on my life to help people because, again, not because I was smarter than people, but I just saw how people were getting caught in all these traps. And I'm like, all right, like when I was in college, people were getting $15,000 student loans and they would get to cash it out and keep that. And like, okay, I'm like, people walking around with $10,000 cash that they got from student loans. So I saw these kinds of things and I'm like, all right, let's not make the same mistakes. You see people falling into traps. So I wasn't smart. I just saw common sense things and I was like, all right, let's not do that. Because those were the people who were buying cars and buying clothes and they were distracted.
Mm, we get distracted really easy, and common sense is not so common.
So basically during the break, I was asking you, can you ever see yourself? I said there's a possibility that if you keep up celibacy for the rest of your life, you would end up like a Mother Teresa. And we said Mother Terra.
It's not a coincidence. My name is Tara now. Like Mother Tara. I think that works. That really fits. Because I don't want no kids. I was telling you that before. Like I have no desire to bring up any trauma for anybody, to bring anybody into this chaos.
And you're also not interested in a life partner.
I more so want I have desire for like spiritual partnerships.
What does that mean?
We,
You also use the word poly, and I was like,
yeah.
is that sexual or not? And you're like,
Right. Because poly is just having many loves. It's like, why should we limit ourselves? We are abundant. If people think like this, they would not hold on to people that no longer serves them. They will learn how to let go faster. A lot of people hold on to things because they feel like, oh, this is the only time I'm going to obtain some sort of love. But once you realize this person is just mirroring the self-love that you have within yourself, they're just helping you activate the self-love within yourself, and you can be your own power source. Like, you can activate this self-love within yourself. That's all anybody is helping us with, because we all truly just using each other, especially in relationships, if we're not operating on a healthy level. But if we're operating on a healthy level, we get out of this user mentality, and we then begin to just support each other. We're not trying to change each other. We're not going to have possession over each other and control. We're going to let people be free and let people do them, and not try to cage them in and tell them what they're supposed to do.
they're not ready.
They're not ready for that type of love, because a lot of this love, that's why the cheating went viral, because everybody want ownership over people. They want to possess you. They want to control you. They want to tell you what you can't do with your body and with your own willpower.
And you're planning. I was saying something about celibacy, and then you started saying you were asexual.
That's what I realized, since I have no desire to be sexually active with anyone, because I view sex as a tool just to bring beautiful children up in this chaos. I have no desire for none of that. So I have been transitioning towards like owning this asexuality about myself, that I'm not interested into this physical act, because I see so much. Why it's getting a lot of people in trouble having sex. Like, it's getting a lot of people in trouble and end up in situations that they don't want to be into. And I'm choosing not to trip and fall and get in trouble with myself. Honestly, I find pleasure in many other ways than just that 5 minute act.
So my question was then, did you ever enjoy sex in your life?
I'm sure I did, but I was very young. We didn't know what we was doing. Like, we was so young. Like, why? I don't understand why at 16 years old we out here bumping and grinding to R. Kelly. We don't know what we doing. And we should teach our young generation to close their legs. Like, just because you call him your boyfriend don't mean you gotta bust it open to this brother. And just for the brothers as well, especially if brothers will keep semen retention and hold out and hold on to their masculine power, they can be much farther in life. But now we're viewing women as just sexual creatures, that we just want to think about how we can have sex and not trying to form an intimate relationship with each other.
Wait, so here's the thing, because I go on about this all the time, right? If you have Cardi B like singing the way she's singing, and Megan the Stallion, and these, if you listen to that kind of music, you're gonna get stirred up, and you're gonna like want to do it with the first person that smiles at you.
Honestly, you though those are tools to keep you in a trance, to distract you, to keep you away from your higher self. Those people, those musics are making you operate on your lowest frequency. So no wonder why everyone feels like that's what you're supposed to do, because you hearing this music over and over and over again. So now you hypnotize, and now you're unconsciously operating from a lower frequency, not realizing that you have to vibrate from a higher frequency. And the way you vibrate from a higher frequency is going within, knowing that it's much more than this physical body, that you are a spiritual being, and you can't have everybody having access to your soul. That's why they created mirrors, so you can just if you want to have sex, just do it with this one person, because you're not supposed to give your body out to everybody. We are normalizing having sex with strangers. We are normalizing this WAP culture, thinking that we have to have sex just because we know each other for a little bit. Nobody should be having your body. No wonder why you waking up mad every single day, because your soul is tied to a soul that shouldn't have been tied to.
Let it sink in. But again, so you would be taking on this kind of leader, you know, you need to talk in schools, you know, especially young girls, you know, at least starting middle school, especially in these Black communities. I think that's a great speaking engagement, you know, and them finding themselves. And I think the problem is that we need like more activities for these kids, you know. Cell phones are taking the place of activities. And I know you can't save the kids, but I'm saying that I think you would be a great spokesperson to go around to middle schools talking to girls, you know, because they see Megan Thee Stallion on TV on primetime all over, you know,
She on
BBL.
Popeye. She on Popeye's chicken. She just doing us. She representing the Black woman like to a higher degree, man.
Or even BBLs and all of these things. Like we're seeing it all over, celebrity faces, and so we are hypnotized, and most people will admit it. You know, most of us are addicted to something, even if it's shopping, the internet,
Sex, yeah.
sex,
Most people are really addicted to
drugs,
sex, yeah.
and even when we're not doing it, we're chasing it. And the biggest one for people is
We
food.
thinking, yeah, and we thinking about it, right? Oh my goodness, yeah. And like we are really supposed to just eat like one meal a day, but they ain't ready for that discipline either. So it's a lot
So
of things we gotta unlearn.
so when you talk about self-love, you're talking about, you know, keeping your spirit to yourself,
Your
eating
body
the
to
right
yourself.
food, being active within yourself, all of these things.
Yes, keeping your body to yourself.
But so you're from a different perspective, right? Because with the asexual thing, you don't feel a desire, but even someone else in your same position, they may feel some desire.
Of
And
course, like I feel I feel a desire, but I'm able to control my desire. It's a difference between having like self-control and having sexual discipline. So I wouldn't put myself in situations where I know I'm gonna get hot and bothered. Like you're not gonna catch me going in a bedroom with somebody, because what do you do in a bedroom with someone besides sleep? So we have to tell the future before it happens and not put ourselves in situations that can alter our whole future. So I just tell the future before it happens, and I don't put myself in situations where it's gonna tempt me, because our flesh is easily able to fold quickly. We are operating from flesh. So you gotta be a master at detaching yourself from your flesh and like thinking about the future and trusting your intuition. Your intuition will tell you, don't do that now. But we got to listen to that every step of the way.
well, I'm telling you, I need the workshop.
I got you, because this sexual discipline is really not for the weak. So no wonder why people don't do it. Like I understand.
What's your thoughts about self-pleasure when you're doing all this discipline?
Yeah, like I feel like especially as women, we do have to explore ourselves like sexually. Like we should know our bodies, because how else are we even going to tell our partner what to do? Women are so afraid to even talk about that and haven't even like touched themselves or know themselves, because we have been like shamed from that. Like we don't even know our own body. So why are you even letting anybody else have access to your body? So we should be more exploring ourselves, honestly.
So if you're advising someone into celibacy, do you recommend they do self-pleasure or should they abstain from that as well?
I personally don't think you should just go into like that. As I feel like you should, for a long time I have not like did that, because I felt like we were shamed as women. But then I started learning about myself, exploring myself, and I'm like, it's not a shame to touch myself, to look at myself, to dance with myself, to twerk in the mirror by myself, instead of waiting. That's what a lot of people do. We just wait for a partner to just get freaky and just dance and just be sexy. Be sexy with yourself. But you should start by first having the discipline. If you going in there, if you haven't like ever took the time to just pause on sex, you should not like jump into that. It is levels and stages. But I think that everyone should first, like, once you built up the stamina, like, okay, I can do it. Like, I have stayed away from other people. Now start exploring yourself and see what unfolds and what you learn about yourself overall.
We need the workshop. I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
because we tend to think that we need pleasure from outside too. Like, we need somebody to help us do that. But if you haven't even helped yourself, then you can't even. Nobody can help you. A lot of times, once I realized, a lot of times these brothers is just jacking women off. They ain't even pleasing women. Like, I'm like, sis, you got pregnant and he didn't even like please you either. We be wasting time, wasting bodies. I'm like, oh my goodness. But you save so much time not having sex too. So you save so much time.
Less headaches, less money. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. But the reality is, putting sex aside, most people are not living with purpose. So the reason why they having sex is because they're bored. Instead of
Yes,
pursuing their purpose, they're like, well, what am I gonna do? I got all this free time. I might as well give him my number.
literally,
And
literally.
that's basically the mindset right now. A lot of people got dreams, but the dreams are too hard or too far away and they just can't access them. So they just run around dating and doing stupid stuff.
Wasting time. I'm telling you, you waste so much time having sex.
But
Like, just to
also,
lay
I
there.
have to say this, there's also people who's wasting time pursuing careers just because it makes a lot of money.
Oh yeah, it's not about money.
I know people out there who they could be doing big things, but they have a great job where they're making 200,000, this, that, and kind of money. And they're like, well, if I pursue my dreams, I can't guarantee myself that paycheck.
Mm.
So they're not gonna pursue their dreams because they're distracted by a career and they know better. They got money saved. They could take a break for 2 years and work on their own business, but they're just like addicted to their careers that they're just like, and they let go of who they really are as a person. So it's not just abstaining from sex. It's all of these things. Like people, we all have these gods, right? And sex can become your god just as much as that addictive career.
Yeah, that's why it's so important not to be so worldly and so
Right.
freshly and just moving just because the world makes this image of success. I feel like success is more than money. Success is really like happiness is within. Like, a lot of people are not happy, man. A lot of people are really depressed. And just that's why they're looking for things to make them happy, trying to have goals to think like that's going to get them to happiness. But like, yo, you can really be happy just sitting outside in nature if you really want to do that. Like, it can all be so simple. We just make things difficult. We just buy things that we shouldn't buy. We eat things that we shouldn't be eating. And we do things that we know we shouldn't, because we are searching and pursuing happiness when happiness is all within.
It's an addiction culture. Most people, before you even know what's within, like you said, if you're gonna self pleasure and get to know yourself, people are so programmed to do things. So they could be 20, 30 years old and never spent 3 days alone with themselves. And, in those 3 days, like you don't even know what would happen. It's like you never spent time with that person. You don't know who that person is.
Oh my goodness. No wonder why we run away from ourselves. Like we scared of ourselves. We scared of the dark. Like just because we've been trained to just not even challenge ourselves, to be with ourselves, to not realize, whoa, I've been searching for this feeling when it's all within T. Like I feel like I cracked the code, man. I feel like I cracked the code.
A natural high. That's what we talk about.
Every day, right?
A lot of basically what you're talking about is Buddhism and walking away from attachment. And if you reach that higher level of consciousness, you can experience nirvana. And those are the natural highs and those kinds of things. That's really what you're talking about. You're speaking about it from a framework of just not needing labels. And so I'm putting labels on it. You're like, no, I don't need labels. But I'm just framing it at the same time because some other people have came to that conclusion, and that's what ultimately became Buddhism. Is that detachment from all of these worldly things. And Christianity also has that as well. But I try to talk heavily to my Christians because there's so much programming around Christianity that people don't think clearly. And it makes me look like an atheist, or I'm anti-Bible, or I'm anti-Jesus.
Yeah.
But the reality is, Jesus was anti-establishment. So Jesus
Talk
came
about
in,
it.
he saw the church, and he was like, nah, this is completely wrong.
Talk about it.
So that's why they wanted to kill him, because he was messing up their business.
He was challenging these foes.
So the Jesus was always the, look, I'm gonna hang out over here and you can hang out with me and we do church together. That was Jesus's style. And I think that's the style that I believe in. It's a community church, in person, those kinds of things. You still can have the text, you still can have the institution time, but we really need that in-person communal time, whether it's at the building or away from the building, where we're really getting to know each other and having a relationship based on something other than just talking about the text. We should be getting to know each other on this level. Like, what are you dealing with? And bringing that vulnerability and accountability to that.
Yes, it's like, how long are we going to learn these scriptures? Like they do the same scriptures over and over again, and learning from this book, and beautiful book, because it's so many tools, but like we have to, like, it's more out there. Like I understand, like that's like the blueprint,
Right.
but like, yeah, but what about the things that we're going through right now?
A scriptural basis, but a practical implementation. A lot of church miss that. They preach to you and you walk out confused and you go back to your worldly life because they really didn't help you with the problem. So people go to church every week, but they're still struggling with the same problem. Give me some practical answers. How can I fix this situation? And you're putting forward something bold, which I think we all kind of know already. Keep to yourself, detox from people, detox from sex, detox from food, social media, Netflix, just detox. Take some time, can get to know yourself, and you're going to reemerge a different, stronger version of yourself. And most of us, yeah.
I'm sorry, what were you about to say?
Most of us are not ready for that work.
You are your best investment. That is fact. You are the best investment. And by choosing you, you help giving other people the audacity to choose themselves. And this is how we can really form unconditional love once we have the unconditional love for ourselves. Because all this that how we operate from is conditional love. Like, it's conditional. Because if you do something that I don't like, I'm gonna love you less now. Because I want you to be a certain way. We don't want people to really be themselves.
No, I really appreciate your vulnerability. And like I said, this is, if you embody this and you keep going, you're gonna have an in-person following, and you should do some events. I'd love to see it go in that direction.
I receive it. I receive it.
Yeah.
It's set in stone.
Yeah, no. And I like that you're just open to the universe, because if it's coming to you, you're walking in it and you're saying, I'm just doing my daily purpose. That's a beautiful thing. A lot of us, we hear the voice, but we like, no, I got to go to work. No, I have too much invested in that. And people just stick with it regardless, even though the voice is calling them out of it.
The voice is calling you higher. It's time to rise up higher. But I do trust God's plans. So of course, like I have like to-do lists and I have plans, but I don't have like, I don't put any dates to the plan.
Right.
Like I don't put any dates. Like I let it happen the way it's supposed to unfold naturally. And I believe that we don't have to work so hard anymore when we just get into alignment and we're present moment by moment, now by now. I feel like we're gonna have a great future every single day because I have a great day. Like I'm having a great morning. It just trickles off to having a great life. So I don't even have like the future planned out. I have things that of course like I wrote down. But I know it's gonna get done. And I trust that it's gonna get done.
Living in the now. If you live in the, if you're living in the now, you're always happy, because in the moment of now, you don't need anything. There's no future to worry about. There's no past to be hurting from. You're just living in the now.
Yes, and that's why we be having anxiety, because we live it in the past or we worried about the future. But if we stop worrying about the future and understand the future does not exist, the only true moment is now, a lot of release will then begin to just trickle off our shoulders, because we didn't plan this whole pandemic. Like, yes, something was gonna happen. I felt it spiritually. That's why I've been getting obedient. That's why I wasn't shocked when people were like, stay home. I've been staying home. Like I've been with myself. So I'm like, people was like really mad, like having to be at home and be with themselves. And that shows that we needed this work. Like we needed, I pray that people really did that internal work, because that's what it was for. It was for, even the churches was shut down. Church ain't never be shut down. It was a reason that we was called to go within, because we were moving towards a whole new paradigm. I felt something was coming though. That's why I've been getting into alignment for 4 years. So I wasn't shocked. I wasn't scared. I wasn't in fear. I was ready and I was prepared. And that's why everything has been taken off the way it should, because I've been preparing for this moment right now that we're in.
And I never thought about the spiritual context of the churches being closed, and like you really had to dig in to spirituality on your own. And of course, a lot of people ran to their computer. So you think, oh, this is a great spiritual time. Nope, I'm gonna run to that computer.
Yeah.
And they went to find church online. They needed the YouTube video. They needed something. A lot of the people that I know, they went straight to their computers.
We have been trained that way. We have been trained to think that we don't have the answers. We have been trained to not even think about ourselves. It's like, yo, like question yourself. Like once you know yourself and master yourself, I feel like you can master this life. And you will stop getting into a reactive state of being, and then you'll start being proactive. Right. Everybody can't trigger you. You're not going to react off of people and places and things, and understand that you can control your attitude and the way you look at this life, because you know what you want out of life. If you want happiness, then best believe that's the only goal every single day, is making sure I got a smile on my face.
Intentionality. You operating with intentionality is always going to give you success. But sometimes, it's your friend's birthday, your friend called you, you're going along, you really don't want to go. You're not having the intention of a good time, so you're not going to have a good time. You're just going along with the flow. The same thing if you go into a job you don't like, if you know you don't like that job and you're going there, you're not going to have a good day. You have to go with intentionality in the present moment. Like, yeah, my job's not the best, but I'm going to have a good day. I'm going to show up. And that's what you're talking about. And a lot of people, they need to hear that because it's tough. We're going from addiction to addiction right now. And you're saying, hey, let's detox. That's a big word here. Day one of the workshop has to be a detox. Turn in your phones. You might need some quiet time. You can go to your room, but just spend some time with yourself. If you want, come to the common area. Like, you're gonna have some real eye to eye conversations, eating some healthy food. People are gonna be flipping out. Like, where's the meat? Are you vegan?
I personally, I cook mostly every single day. So I'll consciously like make healthy meals for myself every single day. So I recently did just have some Chipotle because Halloween they was giving that $5 bowl. But yeah, I that's what I'm thinking about today. Like, I'm about to go to Aldi's and cook me something. But I believe that we should cook for ourselves. It's a reason why nobody want to work at the fast food joints no more. Lines
Mm.
are long. You can't even get in no more. We are calling to cook for ourselves.
So you still eat meat?
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because at some point, I think on the eating healthy spiritual journey, I think the deeper you go, like I've read some like ancient spiritual texts, and they're like, if you really want to do this real work, you have to give up meat.
Oh yeah, I think you should do whatever works for you because everybody's diet is different. I believe in conscious eating though. And I believe it's also like making your soul happy. Like, if your soul is craving something and that's gonna make you happy for today, do that. Don't like live a miserable life and a bland life. But yeah, you should be conscious with what you're putting into your body and like pray over your meals and enjoy your meals, be happy that you're eating because that's just going to lead to more happiness as well. But being in that moment of eating is truly powerful.
Everything you just said about living, if your soul craves it, you should do it. I think that applies to sex as well. So you've made a personal choice, but you're more saying let's live with consciousness. And if you do feel the need to have sex, then do it in a conscious way. Be selective. The same way you select your food and you choose the healthiest choice that's going to serve you the best. You also listen to your cravings responsibly.
Yes, it's just like a friendly reminder. You don't got to do nothing that you don't want to do. So
Right.
if you don't want to do anything, like if you don't want to go to work today, you don't have to go to work. Like, nobody's making you do anything. You are making yourself do something you don't want to do. And
You're
once you just
making that
release,
choice.
yeah, once you release yourself from the permission of be like, whoa, nobody is my ruler. Nobody's in control of me. I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. I don't have to explain myself to a soul. I can do whatever I want to do. You step into your power there. But you shouldn't, especially with sex, if you feel ashamed of doing something, then don't do it. Like, if you can't tell nobody, then don't do it. So I live my life openly, like I'm not ashamed of what I do, so I can talk about it and tell people what I do. But if you feel like, oh, keep it on the DL, don't tell nobody, you shouldn't do nothing you don't want nobody to know of. Because it sounds like you're ashamed of it.
And at the same time, human beings have been penalized for just being human beings. So it's not so much that they don't want to tell nobody, but society sets up these consequences for them if they do say um, their lifestyle and their choices openly.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I know I get questioned all the time. How you even when I said about just solo poly, people instantly reaction thinking like, poly, what is that? Because we've been taught about monogamous and not even knowing like the traditional way of love. So yeah, you will get questioned when you live outside of the norm.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for coming back on. I'm just excited to see what happens next, and I'd love to collaborate. And I'm still figuring out what I'm gonna do out here. It's still early in the game.
Oh my goodness. And that's the beauty of it. We all just trying to figure this life out. Like we're not gonna have it figured out. So as long as we have just day by day, just show up, then everything
Yeah.
is gonna be what it's supposed to be.
No, I'd love to do a retreat. That's something like I'm clear on, like yoga, wellness, mindful, hanging out, retreats, just like spending time in that kind of space, just oneness.
That's facts. That's
Yeah.
and you already know that's happening. That's already set in stone.
Yeah, so I'm all about that, like going somewhere nice or quiet and just making things happen. So that's definitely the future. I'm just promoting these ideas and giving people a space to there's a lot of people who already think like this. Where can we find each other? How do you find like-minded people? You stumble upon them in the journey of life, and hashtags help on the internet for sure.
Yes, and being where you're supposed to be and being present where you're supposed to be. It's not a coincidence that we meet each other. It's not a coincidence that we had this moment. So no, life is not coincidental. It's not an accident. Things happen the way it is when you just show up for yourself.
On a deeper spiritual level. And most of us are taught not even to believe in a spiritual level. So it's always, they call it woo woo when you when you go into that kind of stuff. And we know it's there and we label people who go into it. So thank you so much for doing that work and being that role model. It's brave. And we need people to follow. And that's just the way we're programmed. And people to follow helps us find freedom. The reality is someone has to open that door. Jackie Robinson of spirituality, Mother Terra.
Let's go. Let's go. I'm telling you, the only person that's going to save us here is ourselves. I swear, just all we got to do is continue to bet on ourselves.
All right. All right. Yeah. Then thank you so much. I've watched your podcast and I feel like you've chosen guests. I've saw on the last two, and the last two, I needed to watch them again because it, it's simple stuff and we just need to hear it.
Oh we're gonna get deeper and deeper as the life and with the podcast, that's what it's just all in alignment. Like people come to me and that's when you know you are in your divinity right there, because like attracts like. And I don't believe that I'm not wasting time. So everybody sees like, okay, she's serious. So only real people like respect the game. Real recognize real. So it's a blessing to be just surrounded by like-minded people, because once you get yourself right, you're gonna form like so many beautiful relationships with so many people.
Tara Chanel, I can't wait for what's next.
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk again.
Peace.